So let's think about what an LM is, right? Essentially, what it's trying to do is predict the next word given a sequence of words. So in this case, for example, when you say I like to eat, it's trying to predict pizza. In a very simple terms, it's predicting the probability of pizza given the words I like to and eat, right? So in order to do something where you have to build a generative AI model in-house, there are several different components, right? You start with data engineering. You need to focus on that piece. You need to get it right. Data is really the crucial piece for all of the machine learning ecosystem. So you need to focus on data cleaning and processing and data quality and all of those aspects.
Sometimes making your model explodes into a whole bunch of manual labor, right? Like some creating the rules and creating all of the training stuff is done by people frequently.
Absolutely.
If you are buying, you want to think about these things. Any solution that you're going to buy, or if you build, this is where you'll be like, my specifications are the ability to pull data out of Salesforce, offer context, enable automation so that it's accessible from flows. You could basically distribute AI capabilities in your organization through any enterprise layer that you choose. These choices are obviously all around Salesforce because that's the ecosystem we all operate in. But the intention is that between picking up Salesforce, you can look at these many choices and you can pick one or more of these models. And that's how your distribution of AI capabilities to your end users can be enabled.
But I'd say the number one factor to me is to build your own large language model is if you've already been thinking about doing it primarily, and that you have a business where you think it's a competitive advantage to you to run it, and you care about your data already. You know, that your data is clean and organized, and you may already have a data warehouse or a data lake or things of that nature. And that you know what a Python notebook is, and you understand that type of aspect. You hire people that know what Python notebooks are already. I think you're going down that path. If you're not doing any of that stuff, but you still want to use generative AI, and you're definitely in the buy camp for sure.
The key on the build side is how critical it is to your business, right? This point down here, the critical to core business IP and competitive advantage. I think everything else, frankly, in the grand scheme of things, is pretty much immaterial. You may be able to pull something off from an engineering perspective, but if you're not adding any significant value, if you're going to click a button and generate an email, do case summarization or something like that, Buy has a lot of options where you don't need to deal with long-term maintenance, roadmap, evolution, because there is so much non-tech work in bringing a disruptive new technology into the organization.
Security is a critical component of when you're thinking of generative AI models. It affects user trust, compliance, and also has litigation risk. Do not overly rely on the output of your models. Create domain-specific models, right? And I was talking about really use your prompts and make it vertical specific. Or you could also use fine-tuning and make it vertical specific. These models are probabilistic in nature, like I mentioned, so this tends to happen quite a bit. So in terms of when you're using OpenAI, there's a knob that it provides you called temperature. I think the lower the temperature, the more deterministic it is, and the higher the temperature setting, the more creative it gets, right? So you can control that based on what you want to do.
So if I go back to my prompt, you will see I have an AI connection here, right? So this is the connection that I'm using. This is the temperature that Preetam was earlier mentioning, right? To prevent your AI from hallucinating, I would turn it down to 0.2 or something if I wanted to. So that's the intention, that by doing all of these things together, you're able to address a lot of what was talked about. But what's interesting is I can deploy it by specific user profiles for specific record types if account had multiple record types. So you have the ability to really control which users inside your Salesforce org even have access to it. This is kind of how comprehensively you want to lock down access and address a whole lot of these things